Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alrighty my friends, welcome to another recommendations video. And first off, I just want to say that I hope this video makes you smile today. I hope this video makes you feel something other than despair today, and I hope that the little community I've created here can bring your spirit some small relief from the unrelenting suckiness that is the world. Okay, that's all I'll say on it, but I just have to put out there, this has been a tough week, and I'm not even talking about just what's happened in the world too. I've had a lot of pain again this week. Videos that went up on Tuesday and Thursday were actually pre-filmed because I was supposed to be visiting my family, and then my back went out again, which I'm just so sick of happening. But you know, all of us with chronic pain issues and flare-ups of things, we don't get to control that, right? So I look at it as a blessing, as I already had videos filmed, but I also was really sad because I was going to go visit my family, and it's been a couple months since I have. And then to be stuck at home when there's just a shit storm tornado flying around, it just felt very isolating. And I know some of you feel that way too. You've shared it with me, so I truly mean this as nothing other, as no statement other than I hope you're doing well. I hope this video makes you happy. Hope it helps you find a really cool book to read. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic. So this was actually a topic that Jackie from First Lady Reads first brought up. I mean, man, it was a while ago. I don't quite remember the date that she made hers, but she came up with this idea a while ago and did a video on it, and I've just always had it in the back of my mind, but I didn't really know how I was gonna talk about it, you know, like if I can find it, I'm gonna look for it. I will pin her video up here to watch. But this topic was books that haunt me, and she didn't mean it to be just like spooky wise. It was, you know, it kind of in the way of like books that live rent free, but even more so with like a heavy weight that they like made you think about things, and maybe really stuck with you. And so I just found that topic very interesting, but at the same time, I struggled with how to pick stories for it, because obviously a lot of my 6-star reads are books that haunt me. That's why they make it to that place. But I also wanted to have some that just have some of those live rent-free moments, but not necessarily like fun ones, right? Because I definitely have made videos of like that too, of like, you know, ones that have like sex scenes that live rent-free, or ones that have swoony moments that live rent-free. And there are definitely some of those in these. But a lot of these books have heavier moments, either an emotional breakthrough or heavy weight to it, or in the case of a few, some horrific moments as well. And I don't know, that was just something I felt like speaking on. So not all of these are romance, although most of them are, because that's mostly what I read. But a couple of them are either just like fiction. One of them is like almost kind of a horror. I don't read a lot of horror, but anyway, I have 10 books here that some of them have been in my life for a very long time, and some of them are newer ones, and we're just going to talk through them. And I'll give you my reason of why they haunt me or why they live rent-free as we go through them. So first off, I'm starting with Diana Gabaldon, but probably not with the book you'd expect, though if you've been around here for a while, if you've watched a lot of my Outlander content, maybe it wouldn't surprise you. But the book within the Outlander series that haunts me the most isn't the first one, okay? The one that haunts me the most is actually A Breath of Snow and Ashes. Now, this book is impossible to hold up with a ring light, so I will just put up a picture. But A Breath of Snow and Ashes is the 6th book in the series, okay? So it's well into it. But there are a collection of scenes and things being worked through in this book that haunt me often, that sit heavy on my soul. This one has some very tough conflicts in it, some tough situations, including an assault that happens, which I know I hate bringing up because people somehow got in their mind that all Outlander does is have like grape in it and stuff, and that's so not true. I think those scenes stick out most to people because they are some of the most emotional. Like, that is going to be the most traumatic things, right? But there are scenes with the family. There are scenes between Brianna and Roger, and scenes between Claire and Jamie, scenes between Claire and a character named Malva Christie, who, if you've seen the show, maybe you know who she is. Scenes with a character named Tom Christie that just sit on me sometimes. But particularly the scenes around the assault of a certain character, which I don't want to spoil for you guys if you haven't read more of this series than just Outlander. I hope you will one day, because this series is monumental in my life in general, and I want everyone to have that experience too. But there's some scenes that show their partner taking care of them, and the discussions that they have between each other that truly never leave my mind. They shook me. They made me think about how I would react if something like that happened, in a way that Dana Gabaldon is able to, as always. She uses many words, right? She could be called overly loquacious for sure. But she is able to, with dead shot accuracy, hit on some of those feelings that I've just never experienced in another author's work. So, A Breath of Snow and Ashes absolutely haunts me. And yeah, but it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. Okay. Next up, I do have another one that's non-romance. And this one definitely I would consider horrific in a lot of ways. That is Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. This was the first book in, man, what is the series even called? Is it just the Empire of the Vampire series? I don't know. But I actually have a signed first edition of this, which is cool. But this series is, the last one comes out in November. I'm very excited. But yeah, this is a very, very dark vampire series where basically vampires have taken over the world because there's no like daylight anymore. There was like the death of dawn basically. And so now vampires are out of hiding and they've pretty much taken over. And there was this breed of humans mixed with vampire that are called the Silver Saints, who actually hunt vampires. And at the beginning of this book, there's only one of these Silver Saints left. And his name is Gabriel de Leon. And he is condemned to die, or so we think, by one of the vampire queens of the time. And he's being kept in her dungeons. And the queen has a, what is he called? A historian, basically. And this historian gets sent, who is a vampire himself. He gets sent to question and basically write the memoir of Gabriel. And so this whole series right now is actually that, which I can't remember his name right now, so I feel bad. What's his name? It's been a hot minute, but the historian or whatever goes into his cell and he's telling him the story of how he became the last one left. And so this whole book is actually told in a really interesting way because the whole book is a story. And so it will break sometimes and we'll see these two in the room having this conversation. And then it will go back to him telling the story. And so we'll meet all the characters we're dealing with. And we learn the story of Gabriel and how he became a Silver Saint. And then eventually we're working towards how he became the only Silver Saint who was left. And everything that he's lost. You know, basically before the vampires will what? Well, are they just going to kill him because he's the last one? Or do they want to torture him? What do they want to do? But they want his story before they do that. And straight up, this is one of the most horrific things that I've read, because I don't read horror. And it's terrifying, but it also has this very, like, dark type of humor. And you just, like, Jay Kristoff is able to take you through such crazy emotions and also kind of make you care about some of these psychotic characters. And I ate it up. I couldn't look away while I was listening to this book. I was listening and reading along with it. Also, it's fantastic because he is a big fan of illustration. And so all of his books, he has an illustrator who's done illustrations for each one. And so there's some really cool art in each of these. But yeah, these are not romance. So I'm not holding out hope that I'll have an HEA at the end of it. But I will also say that as you go through it, because again, books 1 and 2 are out. So there's Empire of the Vampire, Empire of the Damned, and then Empire of the Dawn is what's coming out soon. And I also don't think it will completely destroy us. I think there'll be some hope at the end of the tunnel. But that is definitely a book that haunts me, mostly because of how brutal it was, but also that it was so well told that I also couldn't look away, even as I was like, ow, this book is hurting me, you know? Okay, continuing down the line here, I have to put in The Madness of Lauren Ian Mackenzie, and I think this is one, again, a lot of these books won't be a surprise to you guys because there's quite a few of my 6-star reads, but there are some that'll pop in here that maybe you won't expect. But this is my favorite historical romance of all time. I think about it, if not daily, weekly, the love between Beth and Ian. I really don't mean for each of these ones to be a full, like, deep dive into the book because, again, most of these are books I've talked about many, many times. But this one, we have a character who's definitely neurodivergent. I think we would call him on the autism spectrum if it was today. And because of that difference in him, he's considered mad. He'd spent time in a madhouse. His father wanted him killed, basically. And so where things are set now, though, Ian is out living his life. He has his eccentricities and he does his best to get by. And then he meets Beth Ackerley, who is a widow, and he immediately falls for her, and it just shocks him a bit because he's never felt a connection to another person like this, not even his brothers, and he just becomes immediately obsessed with her. And Beth, for her credit, she finds him very dashing and good-looking and so different from anyone she's ever met, but Beth doesn't need to rush into marriage again, which is what Ian is trying to get her to do. He wants to marry her so he can have her. And she's like, you know, you don't gotta marry me. Like, we can just get together if you want. I mean, my words, not hers. And it's funny because even though Ian could do that, he as well just feels like there is something more between them, and it can't possibly be that, like, that simple of a thing, you know. But anyway, these two together are my absolute favorite. If you haven't read this book yet, I don't know how to convince you. I talk about this every chance I get, but this is absolutely a book that haunts me and I will never forget it. It's beautiful. Okay, another heavy hitter here. We're just going through the line. We have Untouchable by Sam Mariano. Yes, this is my beautiful collector's edition. My friend Megan picked it up for me when she went to Authors in the Bluegrass. I am forever grateful to have this. I do own every edition of Untouchable as of now, which is amazing. So happy. This is one I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get, but my friend Megan got it for me. So yeah, this is the story of Carter Mahoney and Zoe, and this was truly when dark romance began to mean more to me than just the taboo factor of it, than just the, you know, non-consensual, you know, naughtiness that sometimes catches my attention. This is truly a fascinating story, a look into the mind of a young man who is supposedly a psychopath. Yeah, I'm just gonna let those fall out because otherwise I can't hold it up. And I just, again, this isn't the video for me to fully be lost in it and everything, but I just love how Zoe finds Carter so fascinating. At first she's terrified and disturbed by him and what he does to her in the beginning, because he does assault her in the beginning of this book. And it was the first time I'd read one quite like this, you know. And watching Zoe, who can't get away really, she's still in high school, she can't leave, she can't run from him, the whole town has Carter under his spell, and so the only thing that she can do is talk to him, get him to open up to her, to discover his mind, understand the way it works, and see if she can live with who this man is, and see if she can like make it work with him, or if she just needs to bide her time and run out of there, you know. And it leads to some fascinating discussions, and it leads to this understanding between them that I just had never like seen before. And yeah, I just think this is so much more than a bully romance. Sometimes that's how this is described, and it might start out that way, but Carter isn't really bullying her. Like, if you've read this, like, you know, this gets categorized as a bully romance very often, but it's more of just a dark romance, because his bullying may be how it manifests to Zoe, but it's more so he's found someone who he not only wants to play with them because he wants to do twisted shit, but she matches him in the smarts department, and that is what he finds truly intriguing. So anyway, again, I could write a whole dissertation on what Untouchable is, but there's the quick version. I'm never far from thinking about Carter Mahoney, okay? And at any given moment, I can go whole hog on let's talk about it, you know? So, all right. Then from a 18-year-old psychopath in high school to a millennia-old psychopath who is finally getting his fated mate within his grasp, okay? Lothair, what can we say about the enemy of old, who just absolutely is psychotic, but also is so intriguing to read about. You know, I had read many paranormal romance series before I read Immortals After Dark, but there's not quite any character who hits quite the same as Lothair, the enemy of old. And then the fated mate that he ends up with, Elizabeth, who is so different from him. She's a hillbilly from redneck Appalachia, and she gets possessed by a queen, a demon queen, basically. And Lothair is sure that that Queen of Death is his mate. It can't possibly be this skinny nobody human who is so young and ignorant. It can't possibly be her who's his mate. Fate would never insult him that way. But she is, and he's gonna have to find a way to deal with it. But first he's going to fuck up a whole bunch and do a lot of really dark, twisted shit. And Elizabeth is going to have to try to make do with it to survive. And the games that these two play with each other are often on my mind at different points. And I just think that this character was set up so well. She built up to this character so well. There's a reason why you probably knew this face before you ever see it, because it's just so like locked in your mind. I'm actually like scared to see what the new cover of this one will be, because currently these are getting republished, which is amazing, by the way. I hope it's bringing new readers in. I don't know. I haven't seen a ton of it talked about, but I truly am like nervous to see what the cover will be, though I have been loving them. But yeah, definitely Lothair haunts me for sure. Okay, here's one that you guys might not have thought about. This is a big throwback one. But yeah, this is so different. Okay, so there's Breaking Perfect by Lydia Michaels. And this is a super old cover to this one. This book has had so many different covers because it's been around. How old is this one now? Let me see. Does it even have? Yeah, okay. So this one was first published in 2013. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. This was first published in 2013. So yeah, 12 years old now. But I read this many years ago when I was first discovering MMF romance. And this one is actually a married couple who were a doctor and a patient who are married now. They've been married for a while, but we join their relationship where they're already well into a routine. And our heroine does have some mental illness. For the most part, it's kept in check. And her husband have a very ordered relationship to help keep her mental illness in check. And that means like they have patterns, they have times when things happen. Because if we get out of them, she can start to have some episodes that come about. The sun's going to start coming out on us. Uh-oh. And they've just had their very ordered life. Now, our one of the heroes, Mason, it's Mason, Libby, and Sean is who comes in. But Sean is actually an ex-lover of Mason. And he comes to town because his father has died. And again, he was with Mason many years ago. And he comes to town. He does not know that his ex-lover has a wife and that they've been living their life for a while now because they've been apart for so long. And he stops by the house to meet him. And so this really throws Libby for a loop. Again, like I said, things are very ordered and on track for her. And now we have shook it up and Sean has just showed up out of the blue. But what's interesting is that Libby isn't immediately like threatened by the fact that her husband had not only a lover, but a male lover at one point. She's more just like, you know, she's a bit hurt that she didn't know. And she's also very confused about attraction she starts to feel for Sean. And this is like, it's really hard to explain this like quickly, but this was the first book I read of MMF where it was a married couple and then someone like came into it later. But it was also interesting because Mason and Sean, they knew each other so well from the past. So they're actually the relationship that pre-existed Libby and Mason. And they just couldn't make it work back then. One of them, I won't like say who and everything, but one of them wasn't ready to be out. And he was very afraid of people's opinions. And so things broke up and they moved on. And now being confronted with this, what's that going to do to the relationship between Mason and Libby? And I think that you might be surprised about how Libby reacts to it. Now, this one is also a bit controversial to people because this one does have an instance of what I would consider cheating in it, where it's not like some MMFs where we talk about everything before it happened. Like there's definitely, like think about, like if you have read Sarah Kate's book that has an MMF in it with a married couple, there's a bit of cheating in that one too, right? But when you're doing an MMF with a married couple, sometimes that's going to be one of the ways it plays out. But what I truly loved about this was the psychological parts of it and what they delved into and how this truly became a healing journey for all three of them. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've read this one. Look at, I have so many notes in it. I'm so tempted actually to like revisit it. I'm so tempted to revisit this one. Yeah, I really should reread it. It's been a long time since I've read that one. But yeah, love that book. Okay, then I wanted to include a fan fiction. And surprisingly, I'm not including Manacled in this one. Though I will say that one, absolutely true. It haunts me as well. But I will have Manacled in another video that's coming out soon. So you can hear me talk about it in that one. Alchemize is only a couple weeks away as of the time of filming this. And I'm so, like, nervous, excited about it. We'll see. But the fanfic that haunts me, like, honestly, pretty regularly is Love in the Time of the Zombie Apocalypse. Like, this fic, this is a chunky one, okay? It's about the same length as Manacled, for sure. And this book, there are the type of Draco in this one, okay, is the type of Draco I like to read when we're in a dark situation, okay? He is 1000% the whole world can go up in smoke if it fucks with you. Like, 0 fucks given if you mess with Hermione. But I love the journey of getting there in this one. Because it is a zombie apocalypse, Hermione, being the bleeding heart and good hero that she is really focused on trying to stop this apocalypse, to reverse it if they can, to heal people. And Draco may be the key to that. He may also be the one who's partly responsible for this plague that is attacking everyone. And you have both muggles and wizards alike needing to band together to stop this, okay? And it is fascinating, my friends. It's a fascinating thing to behold, for sure. Because Hermione needs Draco's cooperation, and eventually Draco's only doing it because of her. So when some self-serving, prickish assholes try to fuck with Hermione to get her to do things their way, they're gonna learn what happens when you piss off Draco and try to manipulate his emotions by using Hermione. And I love it. I love it so much. So yeah, this is one that does not leave my mind. Since I read it last year for the fanfiction readathon, it hasn't left my head. Like, this one is wild. It's absolutely wild. Okay, keep it going here. Then I, of course, have to share Still by Kennedy Ryan. There's not too much to say about this one. This is one of my favorite stories of all time. This is the last in a trilogy, though. But it is this romance between Grip and Bristol. Their struggle to get where they are. It covers the loss of their child. It covers them trying to stay in love with one another. And how their steadfast love for one another can see them through anything. Even some of the most painful things I've ever, like, read about. Like, I don't know how these people survive some of what they go through. So this absolutely haunts me, just for the journey that these two go on. Is just really something special. It's one of my favorite love stories ever. Okay, another one that haunts me is A Breath of Snow and A Breath of Blood and Ashes. Sorry. Though, yeah, this series, I want the third book. We all say that, but you can read this as a standalone if you want to. And Irene, is this one Irene? Even. This one's Even. Sorry, Even and Matic. They are a couple that just, whoa. Like, this is one where I don't think there is a hero of a romance novel who I hate with my whole heart more than Matic, but then love him with my whole heart by the end. That's the type of character that he is. And, yeah, there's just not many like him. It's wild, for sure. So, yeah, this one is kind of a, like, caveman slash, like, how do we explain this? I don't know. It's a time on its own, but it has almost this, like, barbarian, caveman type feel. Caveman's too primitive, I mean, but there's also, like, magical beings, and, like, this is technically a fantasy romance. And, yeah, this book just has so much. But there's specifically some scenes in here. One is including the bloody hand job, which, if you know, you know. One is including the heroine and the hero's first time where he absolutely embarrasses himself. One is including the ending scene when it finally clicks what an asshole he is and what he does to try to prove that from now on he will be better. Like, that is what makes this one so powerful for me. Is, like I said, you absolutely hate this man at a couple points. His own people hate him at points because they're like, what are you doing to this woman who you said you're going to make your queen? You're punishing her for things that aren't her fault. And you just want to punch him in the dick. But then when he has the turn, when he changes who he is, like, she fundamentally changes how he thinks about things, it's such a relief, and you're so proud of him for being like, you finally got it, Matic. You finally did. It feels like such a victory, like, you know, and that makes this one, like, I will always remember some of those scenes. So, it's great. And then the last one I want to mention is one that I don't talk about as much as I used to, and not because it isn't still powerful to me, but I don't always think about it as much as some of the others. But when I do, when I think about this book, it often makes me weep for how beautiful it is. And granted, a lot of that has to do with my own faith, so just know that. But a beautiful romance that still haunts me is Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. And this is a book that I first read, I think, man, was it 6 or 7 years ago? Because I believe I read it for the first time when I had a channel. And it was one of my friends who actually got me to read it. I had heard of it for many years. It was a book my grandma had read, and, you know, I'd seen a lot about it. But one of my friends finally was like, Jen, because she doesn't read a lot of romance, but she was like, Jen, I know how much you love romance, and, like, you have to read this. And I did, and she was right. So yes, this is very much inspired by the Bible in a lot of ways, specifically the book of Hosea, which I won't get into the, like, Bible part of it, but we have this woman named Angel who was sold into basically prostitution, and she's been forced to do that. And because she's so beautiful, she's highly prized at this job. And Michael Hosea, who is a farmer, he believes it's time for him to marry, and God tells him to go to this brothel to find his bride. And he's like, okay, that doesn't seem the place where I should go find my bride, but I'm going to listen to God. And so he goes there, and he ends up paying for some time to sit with Angel. And she's like, Mister, you're here for only one thing. And he says, nope, I'm here for you. And so he continues to, you know, come to see her, and eventually he convinces her to marry him. And she thinks, you know what? Fine, I will do that. But what she doesn't expect is that even being taken away from the job that she did, that doesn't just fix a lot of the hurt that she has or how she ended up in this situation. And this is quite the journey. It's a very emotional. And again, this is a very, like, faith-based story, and you'll see plenty of people out there who read this and they're saying, this story helped, you know, or this story was part of my indoctrination as a young person, and reading it now, I see all those parts of it, of, like, how it was lied to, and that's fine if that's their faith journey. For me, my faith still is something that's very important to me, okay? So again, this is a book that haunts me because not only I do find the romance straight up beautiful, some people are very jaded and they'll find Michael Hosea insufferable and think that he's brainwashing and think all those things. That's not how it reads for me. It reads as very beautiful and wholesome, but still dark. Like, man, there are some dark parts to this story. It's not sugar-coated. And Francine Rivers wasn't writing this to just be purely inspirational and happy roses. Like, there are some dark, painful parts of this story. And that is why it moved me so much, because I'm both, right? Like, I'm a Christian and I read some pretty intense romances, as y'all know around here. And this book really held both of those in hand for me, and I think it does a good job. So either way, this is my story and it's how I tell it. This is a book that haunts me, and that's what you're here to see. So yeah, let me know some books that haunt you. Again, I will link Jackie's video to this if you want to check out what she had to say about it. And I'll also have links to these books down below if you want to check them out. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Again, I hope that I could bring you some joy today. Know that I'm so happy to have you here. Whenever you're watching this video, whenever it comes to you, I'm so happy to have you. And I hope that you take care of yourself, that you enjoy some good books, and we'll see you next time.